Welcome to my humble abode. I am Yorkie the Talespinner, and this is Tales Over Coffee, our morning show where we start the day together with a coffee and a narrative tale. And this, my friends, is a return to Suzerain. Yes, fresh out of hospital and trying to recover, it's time to head back to follow Anton Rain's tale. I don't know if this will be a full-length episode, we'll see. Let's resume. Lots of reading can irritate a sore throat. Chapter 2, A New Sordland. Read the report from Holsword. Ministry of Education has started work on education reform. Ministry of Education Sierra Walder is reporting that she has begun work on approved education reform. The details of the education reform will be finalised over the upcoming months. If the reform package is accepted, the next steps of the process would be to discuss the indoctrination of education. Yes, we decided to try and help adjust some of the sexism in education. Increased police budget restores stability. Recent increase in police budget has helped the police forces tremendously in dealing with protests all over the country. Arrests are being made swiftly and quickly while protecting the population. With the current forecast, we are expecting everything to return to normalcy very soon. That would be good. United Contana launches second satellite. Intelligence reports that United Contana has successfully launched a second satellite, which has the capability of radio communication. This means United Contana radio communications will be able to be transmitted through a satellite for the first time ever, technology that no other country currently possesses. Now we've got the meeting with Gloria. Is there anything else around? Yes, Rumberg. Queen Beatrice Livingston calls Sordland a threat to... Queen Beatrice Livingston appeared on TV. Calls Sordland not just a threat to peace in the Eastern Macopa, but a threat to peace in the entire world. She condemned the riots and police violence in Sordland, also expressing her worries about the direction Sordland is headed. She urged the Rumbergian army to secure the southern border, citing violent incidents in northern Sordland. Well, they're saber-rattling in the extreme, aren't they? Right. Have this meeting. Meeting with Gloria Tory on planned reforms. Gloria Tory's office, Grand National Assembly. I arrived at the Grand National Assembly, which was only a 5-minute drive away from the palace. There I had a private meeting with Gloria Tory, one of the leading figures of the USP, to get her approval for the proposal. She was also key in reaching 150 signatures to propose a new constitution, as she had extensive control over our party's conservative and moderate wings. As I walked through the corridors of the Grand National Assembly, I was confronted by my memories of the historic building. Despite being a member of the Assembly not long ago, it now felt like the distant past. I walked into the left wing of the Assembly, which currently acted as the headquarters of the USP. Gloria's office was the first one inside. I knocked on the door and entered. Good morning, Mrs. Tory. Good to see you here, Mr. Rain. It was a small, neatly organized office, and there were small figurines, photos, and plants around the place. It had a homey feel, unlike my own assembly office when I had worked there. On a gesture, I took a seat. The chair was very uncomfortable. How are you doing, Mrs. Tory? I'm fine, Mr. Rain. How are you? Very happy to see you. It's been a while. Indeed, Mr. President, she smiled. So how does the presidential chair compare to the ones in the Assembly? It's fine, but the work that comes with it is insane. Well, you knew about that, didn't you? Indeed. Anyway, let's keep this simple, Mr. Rain. We both know why we're here. You want me to give you my support. I don't see why the backbone of the USP would support your rushed reforms. Don't you realize they go directly against the wishes of the founder of the party and the state? Mrs. Tory, I need you to help me here. So you want me to help you destroy what our party has worked so hard to build? Even though you owe everything to Colonel Saul, I think you never liked him, nor the party he built. There's nothing personal about this, Mrs. Tory. Whatever you intend to do, you'll be facing quite the opposition. That is all I can say. You must understand these reforms are a necessity. Let me explain. How? The Supreme Court, the people's support. Leading it into the future. That's for the party to decide, not you. I seriously do not know if the Conservatives would be willing to support you at all, especially considering the fact that you're trying to change the Member of Honour's law. This clearly moved against President Saul. You want to punish him for the aggressive policies he pursued in the past? Is that the intention here? You can't win this fight, Mr. President. Saul built the Republic in the midst of blood and chaos. He demands respect. Where are my Crusader King's assassination moves? I don't really respect him, to be honest. I have no intention of putting him on trial. I'm not going to state that. This is a shame. I was hoping to work. This is... difficult. Makes you think I don't respect him. Are you seriously asking me this, Mr. President? I thought we were talking about your proposal. Anyway, I am not going to drag this out for any longer. Will you listen to the party or keep pushing your own agenda? No, we could talk about the other clause instead. It seems you don't understand. All right, Mr. President, I'm sorry I won't be able to help you. I wish you luck gathering the signatures you need. He suddenly stood up. I must get back to work. Thanks for stopping by, Mr. President. That's a significant blow. He extended a hand to me for a handshake. Pushy. Pushy. And also risky if she's video recording this or audio recording this. I'm not finished. Please do not humiliate yourself further, Mr. President. Well, we need these reforms. I have said from the beginning, power concentrated within the hands of a few, applied appropriately, is strength. This is bullying, but sometimes bullying is part of strength when encountering resistance. This may go disastrously. You will give me the signatures. I'd rather not reply to that. I left her room. Albin and the reformist wing was my last hope to get the needed 150 signatures off the proposal. Even then, it looked quite uncertain that we could get 166 votes in the assembly. I went outside. Serge drove me back to the palace, where I met Lucien, and told him the bad news. Albin Clavin on planned reforms. After our meeting with Gloria Tory and further discussions with the party and my cabinet, it was time to talk to Albin Clavin, get the reformist wing to support the proposal. I also planned to finally present a more fleshed out proposal and declare our agenda to the party after our meeting. I walked into the left wing of the assembly and entered the quarters of the USP. When I reached the meeting hall, I saw many of our members conversing. I'm going to be honest here. Fresh out of hospital, long time from the last time I played this, and with a recovery ahead. I'm struggling to remember everything from the previous play. If I make mistakes, bear with me. After taking a glimpse inside, I went back to the corridor to look for the office of Albin Clavin. which was around the back of the place. When I reached his room, I knocked on the door and entered. Mr. President, welcome. The whole place was surrounded by bookshelves packed with files and papers. It was a small office, with books and dossiers lying on every corner. It felt claustrophobic. On his gesture, I took a seat. How is everything, Mr. Clavin? It's been busy. The party has been working very hard, Mr. President. Thank you for asking. How's it going for you in the palace? Depends on our meeting today. Oh, I see. Then I'll try my best not to make it any worse for you, Mr. President. I want to express my gratitude for passing the Workers' Rights Act. It is one of my most comprehensive and successful political efforts. It was the right thing to do because our workers were suffering for decades. Indeed, the people will credit your administration and the party for a positive change in their lives. The businesses will share the burden with the state, but it is a change they have to abide by. You know, we do have the media working with. I wonder if there's a way to have them do a character assassination on some of the opposition. I have to say, the close collaboration between the palace and the party is going well. Looking forward to what we can accomplish with the reforms. Albin smiled and knocked on wood. Anyway, sir, let's talk about the proposal. Thanks for coming here for my input, because there are some subjects where Gloria and I don't see eye to eye. I have to say that most of the progressives were already starting to warm to you. Your attempt at changing the Constitution created quite a bit of excitement. One could dare to say an excitement that hasn't been felt since the 1930s. Yet there are some issues with the current status of the draft proposal. We may need to contain our excitement a little longer. I cannot support this in its current state. What's the problem? Where to even begin? Reformists were expecting reform about the term limit. Why is that not included? We could address that. My issue with term limits is that they hurt the good as well as the bad. It takes time to become truly good at any job, especially one as intense as this. If you then say, well, you've been here a few years, go away, yes, you get rid of the bad, but you also prevent the good doing any better. I personally believe there are better ways of addressing it. That's not the case. Too soon. That's stupid. We can address that today. Good to know. Let's see then. There is one more problem. I thought there would be some reform about the extensive decree powers. He stared directly into my eyes. We need decrees to pass further reforms. I can't give away everything. You should at least do something about term limits. Fine, I'll do 2 terms. I can live with that. Now we're getting somewhere. They look down at the proposal. There might still be a way for me to get behind this. This is not enough, Mr. President. We can take another look over the draft, or perhaps there is something else you can offer me. What did you have in mind? I'm all ears. Vice President. It could be useful. He certainly has a block behind him. Interesting proposal, one that's very hard to turn down, especially now that we align, Mr. President. Can I hold you to that promise? Yes, I'm not trusting Petra. There's something going on with him. As long as I get your support. Good, then it seems we have a deal. I'll talk to my guys shortly. I'll have their signatures soon. Thank you, Mr. Clavin. See you in the conference, Mr. President. I left his room and went back to the corridor. The meeting had exhausted me. I went to the restaurant of the Assembly to get something to eat, while conversing with other members of our party. That's going to get out and cause severe problems on a personal level with Petra and the family. However, power and politics and business are what run the nation. I saw Albin talking to his people in the distance. After a while, the preparations for the conference began. and I went back to the conference hall and prepared my notes for the speech I was going to make. It took time to get all the present members of the party inside the hall. Gloria Tori announced me from the stand. I walked up the stand as everyone in the room started clapping. Ladies and gentlemen of the party, I started my speech with the reasons for the changes to the Constitution. People of Sordland have spoken. They blame our institutions and our systems and want change. Can you blame the people? Haven't we had enough with the flaws of our Constitution? We must listen to their wishes and get their trust in Sordland back. I paused as they started clapping and continued. We need to survive. I brought attention to the people's protests and the slight decrease in the popularity of USP. I explained that our proposal will only be beneficial for everybody. The moderates that sat in the centre started applauding. Later I explained the contents of the new constitution and asked for their full support of their proposal. I'm not going to order or threaten publicly like that. Ask for their votes. The reformist wing on the left stood up and started clapping loudly after Albin Clavin made a sign. I saluted everybody in the room one last time and bid them farewell before leaving the stand. I walked outside the assembly and back into the palace. And we have news on the Whole Sword Post. Today, President Rain has met with his party members in a party meeting in the Grand National Assembly of Sordland, where the current situation of the country and future plans of the party were discussed. It was later reported that President Rain used the meeting to give a speech to the party and announce the contents of the first draft of the new constitution. The details of the meeting were not made public, nor what the draft contained. And with that, we continue. Balance of power in Eastern Macopa. True news article. A radical, archaic state of Sordland's conscription laws. Dear reader, I ask you this. What year are we in? 1880s? 1920s? The matter I am writing about is, of course, mandatory military service again. In times when there are no active wars, why do we still need to have these archaic conscription laws? Have you not seen what Nuremberg are doing? Let me answer that. It's because someone profits from it. Not only does this make the warmongering solis happy, it also works out for large defense corporations. You're not wrong, but have you seen what Nuremberg are doing? The oligarchs are now swimming in money, while we still have to send our children away when they come of age. We are in a modern age. We want to modernize Sordland and catch up to the superpowers. If we want to lose a militaristic identity that we can intellectually prosper, mandatory conscription laws need to go. Ideally, you're right, but have you seen what Nuremberg are doing? Rains meet with Smollett and Van Horten. Sordland is embarking on a great political gamble with a new trade initiative organised by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The hope is that solidification of relations with an old ally, Agnolia, and the troublesome neighbour Wellen, with the aim of regaining some of the regional diplomatic... Oh yes, we were going after Wellen, weren't we? Not sure that's a good move. Influence that the country used to have. Each of these countries have different agendas, which will create some difficulties for President Rain. Ian Van Herten, who was elected through a powerful democratic movement, wants to reimagine trade with Sordland, while President Smollett-Wellen looking for new foreign investments and security cooperation against rebellious Bludish movements at the border. Lesbia and Valkland are watching Sordland's actions very closely and are sure to react to any sort of balance of power shift. Right. Report from Holsland. Ministry of Health discusses privatisation. The Ministry of Health has begun working on a health report with a proposal to allow privatisation in the health system to potentially generate new resources for the ministry. Minister Benifol is personally overseeing the discussion and the report with top aides. Non-ideal, but, well, we'll see. Sign or veto the Religious Harmony Bill that was approved by the Grand National Assembly. For the purpose of increasing religious harmony and unity, the following laws are established in religious affairs. Section 1 of the RHB will ensure that the day of disession ceremony in the Arch Sanctuary of Dyer shall from now on only hold sermons in the Sordish language. Why would we do this? Section 2 will forbid sanctuaries from holding sermons in Bloodish, unless they receive approval from the Archpriest of Sordland. Section 3 will enforce that all priests applying to the state sanction have Sordish descendants to be able to receive their salaries and pensions. Are you insane? Protect religious freedoms. President Rain has recently vetoed the outrageous Religious Harmony Bill. The bill was aiming to limit freedoms of Bloodish people in Sordland. The MP to propose this was, of course, Casero Kibner, a leader of the NFP himself. Mr. Kibner has never stopped his attacks on Bloodish people, and we are all sure that he will continue his racist onslaught and his attempts to further divide the country. President Rain's decision to veto this discriminatory bill, which was a clear attack on religious and personal freedoms, will be welcomed by Bloods and Swords alike. It's going to cause issues, isn't it? Superpowers offer aid. United Contana and Acacia are offering aid in return for military access to installations. United Contana and Acacia have approached us with a substantial financial offer in return for refuel and repair access at our military installation. United Contana requests access to its ship for its ships to be able to dock at Conrad Naval Base, while Acacia requests access for its jets to land at Elroy Air Force Base in return for the aid. I do not trust United Contana at all, unfortunately. I'm not particularly happy with Acacia either. They're not exactly aligned with our way. But I would rather work with them. Rain's weak international leadership. Another checkbox has been ticked on the growing list of Mr. Rain's weak leadership decisions. His recent decision to accept Acacian financial aid makes Sordland look weak. It seems that our time of strong leadership in international theatre has long passed. Yes, you're just a whiny little shit, aren't you? Read the report from Holsword. Condemnation from United Contana, of course. United Contana ambassador in Holsword condemned the financial deal between Sordland and Acacia, criticising President Rain for inviting Acacia to meddle in Eastern Macopan affairs. He announced that Chairman Meleniev will do whatever it takes to defend the sphere from encroaching Acacian imperialism. I understand that, but I wanted to go with one. I don't trust Contana at all. And I wanted to go with one because having their military gain assistance from us may help them work with us if Rumba gets stupid. Plus, of course, there's a budget to consider. A call from Gus Manger. I was sipping my first coffee of the day when the phone lit up and rang. I swore under my breath. I thought my schedule was clear for at least half an hour. I picked up the phone. Mr. President, how are you doing on this fine day, if I may ask? Fine as well. You? I'm good, because business in Sordland is running as usual from my end. Thanks for asking. I'm calling because I received a call from CEO of Amadane Industry, Aaron Bridges, about the recent initial public offering on the Ventry City Stock Exchange. As you might have guessed, it's about our little venture investments of 1,000 shares, nearly million Ren. I'm very pleased to say that we've made gains. The shares have doubled in price at the IPO in VACSE, and we will soon receive the profits made from the investment. Isn't that great? Yes, it's great. Go on. You will love it. In total, we have made nearly 2 million Sordish Ren. I bet that right now you're wishing you had bought more stocks than earlier, right? I'm not much of a risk taker. It was good for a start, for sure. It definitely was. I assure you this. I assure you this will pale in comparison to what we will do together in the future. The money will be transferred to your personal bank account shortly. Very well. Talk to you later. I'm not sure how much more I want to go with him because I have a feeling, like all investors, or most investors, he's going to do really well until he hits that sink and you lose everything. Bye for now. Line dropped. Wealth 2. Economists. Armadine stocks jumped to nearly double. The CEO of Armadine, Aaron Bridges, announced the IPO this morning that the Ventures City Stock Exchange, with the opening value of the stocks doubling due to high demand in the market. Images of celebration were visible at the Ventures Times newspaper. A new era for portable radios has begun for the average citizen, with major advancements in military technology pushing civilian technology. Let's just see if there's a report hiding anywhere. Private party for the Gentleman's Club. Ooh. Better, have you heard? And immigration. Both of those issues I think we will deal with next time. For now, I thank you for joining me. I've been Yorkie the Talespinner. You've been a wonderful audience. And thank you for your patience during this trying time in real life.